It's got to be a tough pill to swallow when a man loses his wife or longtime girlfriend to someone who never really put in the effort. Just think about it. You've been the one paying her bills, taking her out, supporting her through everything, listening to her drama, and staying by her side for years. Then out of nowhere, this new guy shows up, barely knows her, and he's the one enjoying all the benefits. That's got to sting. Now nobody's saying you were perfect. Maybe you made some mistakes. Maybe you cheated. Maybe things fell apart. But still, you put in the work and now she's gone. What's worse? She ends up with another guy and even gets pregnant by him while she's still technically married to you. And you're sitting there like, really? After everything we went through? To make it worse, the new guy doesn't even measure up. He's not doing half of what you did, and she's still out here calling him her blessing. Then folks online start catching on, saying things like, wait a minute, her new man already got 2 kids by other women. And how does she respond? She acts unbothered, defends him, and pretends everything's fine, while everyone can see she settled for way less than what she had before.
Hello, Barbara. This is Shirley. Yeah, busy. Hi. Yeah, that's the baby dad, bitch. That's my baby dad too, girl. Well, what now? We'll figure it out.
Yeah, that's exactly how Cardi B reacted, typical her. And lately, I've been hearing a bunch of women saying some strange things about Offset, like they're defending him or making excuses for his behavior.
No, Offset has spoken. When I tell y'all the man is hurt, he is hurt. Because why are you on this internet speaking about a woman that you did wrong the whole entire marriage and embarrassed multiple times? Leave it up to Offset. He said Stefan Diggs crossed the ultimate disrespect line. He said if Stefan got Cardi pregnant, they could have at least waited until the divorce was finalized and waited for a year to have a baby. This man said out here trying to play stepdaddy, forgetting who played house first. Rephrase that, but no, he really said out here playing stepdaddy and forgetting who ran the house first.
Relationships often end in complicated and painful ways, especially when deep emotions and shared history are involved. Losing someone you once loved, whether it's your wife, the mother of your children, or a long-term partner, can be a difficult experience to process. Imagine putting years of effort, time, and emotion into a relationship, only to watch that person move on with someone new. You were the one paying bills, helping her through hard times, listening to her problems, and being there when life wasn't easy. Then, out of nowhere, a new man comes along, contributes almost nothing, and suddenly he's the one who gets her full attention. Anyone in that situation would feel frustrated or even humiliated. At first, it's natural to feel jealous or angry. After all, you invested so much of yourself into that person. You loved her. You believed you were building a life together. But over time, you start to see the situation more clearly. You begin to realize that her decisions, and how she behaves with her new partner, say more about her than they do about you. It's a painful lesson, but it teaches you something about value, self-respect, and perception for women who might not understand how men feel in these situations. Here's an honest truth. When a man sees a woman who once demanded so much from him suddenly accept far less from another guy, something changes permanently. Once that line is crossed, there's no going back. The respect, admiration, and emotional attachment start to fade. He may still care, but deep down he knows that something about her worth has changed, not because she's with someone else, but because she lowered her own standards. This realization doesn't happen overnight. At first, men feel heartbreak and confusion, but eventually, they begin to see how unbalanced things were. Many men realize they were overpaying, giving far more emotionally, financially, and mentally than what they were receiving in return. That's when the switch flips. Instead of feeling sad about losing her, they start to understand that maybe they were the ones being shortchanged all along. It's a strange moment of awakening, when pain slowly turns into clarity. From that point, a man begins to reflect on himself and the relationship as a whole. He remembers the things he tolerated, the habits, the arguments, the disrespect, that he used to overlook because of love or comfort. Now, without the emotional fog, he can see the truth. Every flaw he once ignored suddenly becomes clear. And the irony is that all those same issues are now the new guy's problem. The woman didn't change. She simply moved on, taking all her unresolved habits and behaviors with her. This is something many people overlook. If you leave one relationship without learning from your mistakes, you'll simply carry them into the next one. You can blame your ex all you want, but if you never hold yourself accountable, you'll end up repeating the same cycle. A breakup doesn't automatically make you innocent. Both people usually share responsibility for why things didn't work out. But when one person refuses to see their role in the downfall, that's when personal growth stops completely. Let's look at it from a woman's perspective for a moment. Suppose she leaves because her man cheated or made serious mistakes. Maybe she had every reason to walk away. But instead of healing, reflecting, or improving herself, she jumps straight into another relationship. On the surface, it may seem like she's winning, she's moved on, she's happy. But over time, the truth reveals itself. The new man begins to see the same toxic patterns her ex once dealt with. The same arguments, the same attitude, the same lack of accountability. Eventually, he realizes that the problem wasn't just the ex. It's her behavior that never changed. And this is where things become ironic. The new partner, who once heard stories about how bad the ex was, starts to experience the same frustrations. The cycle continues. It's no longer about who was right or wrong. It's about growth that never happened. This is why self-reflection after a breakup is so important. Without it, both men and women end up repeating history, hurting new partners in the same ways they were hurt before. Now consider the emotional evolution men go through after such heartbreak. At first, they're hurt, angry, or confused. But once they accept that the relationship is truly over, they begin to analyze everything. They recognize the red flags they ignored and start to rebuild their confidence. They remember who they were before the relationship drained them. Slowly, they start to heal. They stop seeing their ex as someone they lost and start seeing her as someone who was never truly right for them. When a woman who left a stable relationship begins accepting less from someone new, she's not proving her independence. She's proving that her judgment might not be as strong as she believed. It's one thing to walk away from a bad situation for your own peace. It's another to walk away and then settle for worse. That doesn't reflect power, it reflects confusion and insecurity. This concept applies perfectly to the situation between Cardi B and Offset, which has been widely discussed online. Many people say Offset is jealous of Cardi's rumored new partner, NFL player Stefon Diggs. But if you look closely, that narrative doesn't hold up. Yes, Offset may feel hurt. Anyone would if their ex moved on quickly. But when you think about everything that happened, it's not jealousy. It's reflection. Offset might be realizing that he overinvested in a relationship that no longer respected him. Once he accepts that, the emotional weight begins to lift. When Cardi publicly embraced her new situation, many interpreted it as her getting back at Offset. But in reality, it looks more like she's settling. She's accepting less commitment, less loyalty, and less respect than she once demanded. That doesn't make her powerful. It makes her human, flawed, and maybe even lonely. Meanwhile, Offset, despite his struggles, seems to be rediscovering his own value. He's reminding himself that life doesn't end just because a relationship does. Cardi B is undoubtedly successful, talented, and famous. But fame doesn't erase the consequences of personal choices. When a woman continues to make public drama a part of her identity, it limits the type of partner she attracts. Men with stability, peace, and long-term vision don't want chaos. They don't want to live in headlines or be surrounded by constant arguments and exposure. That's not a sign of control or maturity, it's a sign of emotional exhaustion. Offset, on the other hand, appears to have accepted the breakup as a turning point. Even with his flaws, like rumored gambling issues, he seems to be choosing peace. His actions suggest that he's moving forward, not clinging to what was lost. This shift isn't about ego, it's about awareness. Once a man realizes that his worth isn't tied to how much a woman values him, he starts to live differently. He stops chasing validation from people who never truly appreciated his presence. That it's important to understand that when people settle for less in new relationships, they reveal a deeper insecurity. They want to feel wanted, even if it means accepting less respect. But that short-term comfort comes at a long-term cost. It damages how others perceive them, and more importantly, how they perceive themselves. Once you lower your standards, it becomes much harder to raise them again. Many fans and critics have pointed out that Cardi's behavior doesn't reflect the independence she promotes. Instead, it shows vulnerability, an inability to be alone, to heal privately, and to rebuild quietly. True strength isn't about proving a point through new relationships. It's about showing growth and self-control when no one is watching. For Offset, the situation seems to have reinforced that letting go isn't always a loss. Sometimes, walking away from someone who drains you emotionally or publicly embarrasses you is the most empowering move you can make. The person who can move forward peacefully always wins in the long run. And while Cardi's fame and image may keep her in the spotlight, her choices tell a different story. When a person keeps repeating the same mistakes, the world begins to see through the performance. People start to realize that no matter how much money or fame someone has, self-respect can't be bought. Love without respect will always crumble. At the end of the day, this situation isn't just gossip about two celebrities. It's a reflection of how many people handle relationships in real life. Too often, people move on too quickly, seek validation through new partners, or refuse to take accountability for their own actions. They try to prove they're winning, but deep down they're avoiding growth. Healing takes time. Self-awareness takes courage. And both are necessary if you want to build something real in the future. Relationships aren't just about romance. They're about mutual respect, emotional maturity, and shared effort. When those elements disappear, no amount of love, money, or attention can hold things together. Both men and women need to understand their patterns, face their flaws, and learn from their experiences. Otherwise, they'll keep reliving the same heartbreaks under different names. So when people look at Cardi B and Offset's story, they shouldn't just see drama. They should see a mirror reflecting their own lives. Everyone has made mistakes in love. Everyone has stayed too long or left too soon. But growth only happens when you stop blaming others and start fixing yourself. That's the lesson both celebrities, and all of us, need to learn. In the end, time reveals everything. Offset seems to be growing, finding peace, and understanding his worth. Cardi, on the other hand, appears stuck in the same patterns that once made her famous, but now make her seem lost. And maybe that's the biggest takeaway of all. Fame can magnify your problems, but only self-awareness can solve them. Letting go doesn't always mean losing. It can mean finally winning your peace back.